those questions.
Oh, the questions. Okay. Yes. Hmm. I guess I need to do that. I'll do that after this class. Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
no worries. But you do have all the questions, right? You attended all the classes, I think.
Still, sir, revision, revision, revision.
But it's there in your notes, no?
They're in a very haphazard manner, and I just cannot explain it.
I understand it. I understand. I'm also really bad at making notes. But making notes is important. Uh, they'll stay with you for longer than you expect.
Yes, sir.
It's always a good habit to keep good, neat notes. Just writing down the question. Let's see. Somebody's waiting. A body falls freely from some altitude, h, altitude h. At,
So, where are you seeing the questions from? You said no, that they're not in PDF.
I'm sorry.
Sir, you were saying that the questions are not in a PDF format.
The questions are not in a PDF format.
Then you said that you had to type them and send.
Yes.
Like, अभी किसमें है वो?
Abhi, they're still not in a PDF format.
Yeah, you can take photos or screenshot. That would save your time.
I agree. You should do that. At the moment, the first uh, body starts falling. Another body is thrown. Another body is thrown from the Earth's surface. Thrown from the Earth's surface, which collides with the first object, which collides with the first object. The first uh, object at an altitude of at an altitude of h over 2. So at h over 2 is when they collide. The horizontal distance is given. Uh, the horizontal distance is given to be L, I think. Yes, indeed it is. In is L. Find the initial velocity and the angle at which it was thrown. Yes. Find the initial velocity and the angle at which it was thrown. Okay, so you have a body that falls freely from some altitude, capital H. At the moment when you release the first body, you throw another body, somebody else obviously. You cannot be in two places at the same time. Somebody else throws another body at the same instant, and both of them collide at some altitude h by 2. The horizontal distance is given when they actually collide. You just need to find out what is the initial velocity and the angle at which. was thrown. So go ahead. Is the question clear?
Yes,
Do I
sir.
need, huh?
Yes, yes.
Or do I need to draw the diagram also?
No need, sir.
Okay. Okay, any ideas?
Sir, 1 minute, please.
Okay, so thoughts. Somebody.
Yeah, so we can calculate the time by मतलब हम yeah, we can calculate the time जो पहले the first body is feeling falling freely, so it is h by 2 equals half gt square.
Hmm.
Then the second expression we can get it from this thing, जो दूसरा ऑब्जेक्ट पैराबोलिक पाथ फॉलो कर रहा है. We have L, we have the range, and
Okay.
we have the formula
So
for
we
L.
have number of equations equal to number of variables and everybody's happy.
Exactly.
Lovely. So this first object is falling.
So,
Yes, go ahead.
the root over g h by 2.
Yes. Could you say that again?
Root over g h by 2.
Root over g h by 2. Like this. Huh. Wait. Let's see. Let's see what happens. So what you have is you have this object one, which is dropped. It's going through free fall. It's dropped from a height h, and you have this projectile which is shot at some velocity v and at an angle. Let's call this angle some alpha, and then this goes in a projectile motion, and it hits somewhere. And turns out where it hits is actually h over 2. So, so it's actually not hitting there, it's hitting somewhere here. It's hitting it at this point. Both of them are shot at the same time and they hit at the same time. So 2 points in time, you know where exactly these things are. You know the exact states of these two objects. Okay, so let's remove this question. Let's try to solve it here. Find the initial velocity and this thing. Lovely. Okay, so initially, so let's see what all is given. Well, you're given the initial velocities. Well, not really given. The initial velocities. So let's write things down along the x-axis and y-axis. I think that's the best way of proceeding here. Let's see along the x-axis what is happening. You have object 1, which has velocity 0. Lovely. So u1 is 0. v1 will also be 0. There's no acceleration. There's no movement in that direction. What about the second object? Well, second object has a velocity of v in the x-axis to be v cos alpha. Correct. And in the x-axis, again, there is no acceleration. So it's just going to move with this velocity. We also know along the x-axis that it covers a distance of L. So the distance that it covers S is just given to be L. Okay. From here you can make one equation. That's true. But you'll need to add one more variable to in order to make an equation. What variable are you adding? You're adding time. Okay. So let's make an equation out of it. We have v cos alpha is equal to distance upon time. So L divided by some t. This implies t is just L by v cos alpha. Okay, so we have one relation here. That's all about the x-axis. What about the y-axis? Let's see. Well, along the y-axis, the initial velocity of the first particle is 0, because it's not given any initial velocity. It's just under free fall. It's just left at this point h, and it's going to be accelerating with an acceleration of g minus t because it's acting in the negative direction. What about the second object? Well, the second object has an initial velocity in the perpendicular in the y-axis given as v sine alpha, because if this is v cos alpha, this is going to be v sine alpha. Lovely. Okay, and you again have an acceleration in the downward direction. And we know where these two meet. They are meeting at exactly h by 2. So this side is h by 2. Okay, so we can figure out how much time it would take for the first particle to reach h by 2. How do we do that? Well, given the initial velocity, we're given the acceleration, you can calculate the time by using Newton's equations. um, so you have s is equal to ut plus half at square plus half at squared, where s is h by 2 because that's the distance that the first particle is traveling. This is about the first particle that we're talking about. The initial velocity is 0, so that's lovely, that's gone. And you have an acceleration of minus half g t squared. There will be a minus sign here because you're measuring distance from here, so it's negative h by 2 in this direction. That's your 0 point, so that's why there is a minus sign here as well. And you cancel out these minus signs, you cancel out the 2's, you get t to be equal to square root of g by h. Okay, that does make some sense. We have time in terms of these two variables. Lovely. We can combine these two equations now. Sorry, something?
That should be h by g.
Yes, that should be h by g. That should be h by g. Now let's just combine these two equations, 1 and 2, to get one equation with still two variables remaining. What is that equation that we have? We have square root of h over g to be equal to L over v cos alpha. So this implies v cos alpha is given to be L square root of g over h. Okay, so now you have one equation with two variables. You had three variables, one variable you removed nicely. Now you want to remove this other variable. Well, for that, what is the remaining things that we have? What are the remaining things that we have? Well, we have the motion of the projectile in the y-axis that is left. Okay, so it's essentially reaching a height of h by 2. So again, you can apply the same equation for the second object. You have h over 2 to be equal to ut. U is the initial velocity, and it's given to be v sine alpha. So you have v sine alpha t minus, there's a multiplication here, minus a half g t squared. You have another equation. Now, this equation, you have three variables here, right? So how do you remove one of the variables? Well, you can use this equation still. This equation is still valid here. So just put the value of t inside here. You get h by 2 is equal to v sine alpha square root of h over g minus half g h over g. The g's cancel out nicely, and you have h is equal to v sine alpha square root of h over g. This implies v sine alpha is equal to somebody square root of gh. Does this make sense? Yes, no, maybe. Does this make sense or does this not make sense?
Just a second, sir.
Okay. See, whenever you're doing this calculation, it's always a good practice.
So mine
Just,
is
huh?
root gh by 2.
It's always a good practice to essentially just check your units. So let's check the units. You have length divided by square root of length, and g has units of length per second square, and so you have a square root here. So it's the square root of L square s minus 2. So this is L s inverse, which is what speed is. So at least you're confident that whatever you've done till now is correct and you've not made some silly mistakes. So it's always a good practice to whatever stage you reach in a calculation to always just check your units. If everything is consistent, everything is going well, and that will help out a lot. Okay, so now we have two equations and two variables. What are the two equations? Well, you have v cos alpha is equal to L square root of g over h, and the other equation being v sine alpha is equal to square root of gh. To calculate v from here, well, one notice is that you have v sine alpha and v cos alpha, so you can just square and add them. If you can, because sine square plus cos square is just equal to 1. So let's just square and add these two equations. We have v square sine square alpha plus v square cos square alpha is equal to L square g over h plus g times h. Okay. So this is v square multiplied by sine square alpha plus cos square alpha should be equal to L square g over h plus gh. Now let's simplify both sides so that you get v square is equal to, let's take the g out and let's also take the h out. So what is remaining? You have L square plus H square. So this implies V is the square root of G over H, L square plus H square. Now you've calculated the velocity. What's the remaining part? Well, the remaining part is the angle at which the projectile is thrown. Well, that's alpha. Again, you have two equations. You used the two equations to remove alpha, so in order to calculate V. Now you can remove V in order to calculate alpha. How do you remove V? Well, you just divide the two equations. You have V sine alpha divided by V cos alpha is equal to L square root, sorry, is equal to square root of G over H divided by L square root of G over H. So you have the G's cancel out and the H goes on top, making a full H because it is square root and a square root. The V's cancel out and you have tan alpha. So alpha is just tan inverse of H over L. Does this make sense?
Yes, sir.
Everybody, is this clear?
Yes.
If there are any doubts, just take a couple of minutes to gaze over this. If there are still any doubts, just ask. And let's just wait for 1 minute and then we'll move on.
So
Yes, go ahead.
we could just go ahead and say that V is equal to GH by sine alpha. Why did we do so much?
V is equal to, see, any question you have in front of you, there should be a logical way of solving it. See, I agree there can be multiple ways of solving this question, but you should generally use a method which is more generally applicable. So writing down X components, writing down Y components, it's important. You can skip those things. And it's not like you cannot calculate the answer directly. Yes, you can. But what you're skipping out on those things might be essential in some other problem that you're solving. So for example, here, if I didn't have this U1 is equal to 0, sorry, this one, in the x-axis, um, there is no velocity given for the other projectile, but you might have been given some velocity. That will complicate things a lot, and then you'll have to go follow this procedure and do it. So it's always used to, it's always good to get used to uh, problem solving. There are obviously multiple ways of solving problem, no doubt about that. And it's good to solve things in multiple different ways also, because that also teaches a lot. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Okay, so you have two inclined planes, two inclined planes OA and OB, having inclinations of 30 degrees and 60 degrees respectively. They intersect each other at O. A particle is projected from P. So it's essentially like this. Let me just explain the figure. Also, so the figure is given in the question. So you have land here, and you're essentially starting from here. This is the point O. This is point O. This is A. This is B. A is given to be 30 degrees. Sorry, hold up. This is B. This is A. This is given to be 30 degrees, and this is given to be 60 degrees. And there's a point P here. A point P, a particle is projected at uh, point P, at point P with a velocity of u equals 10 root 3 meters per second along a direction perpendicular to OA. Along a direction perpendicular to OA. So it's essentially launched perpendicular to OA. This is perpendicular, and the velocity at which it's launched is also given. So you're actually given the complete vector on the direction perpendicular to OA. If the particle strikes the plane OB perpendicularly, if big if the particle collides with OB, collides with OB in a direction perpendicular to OB. So when it's hitting, it's also perpendicular. What you need to calculate is a lot of things. First, calculate the time of flight. Second, velocity with which particles strike plane B. So final velocity of the particle. So let's call this point where it strikes Q. So at Q. Then C, you have vertical height of P from O. Yes. Vertical height. So this is essentially height where it's launched from. D, maximum height from O attained by the particle. So maximum height attained, and there's another one because there's obviously another one, the distance PQ. Ouch.
Towards that C option.
I'm sorry?
C option.
The vertical height.
C, sir.
So vertical height between P and O. So it's essentially this side. Between P and O. So essentially this H is what is asked. Okay, take some time. Okay, any idea about the first part? One calculates time of flight. Hello, Sudhanshu. Doing this question that's written in front of you. Okay, so thoughts, ideas, solutions. Nothing.
सर ये टाइम ऑफ फ्लाइट 3 सेकंड्स है. सर
Hmm.
टाइम ऑफ फ्लाइट इज 3 seconds.
How did you get 3 seconds?
I'm just asking, like, let me confirm. मतलब जो मैं is my approach right or wrong?
It's close, but I don't know what you did, so I don't know where the mistake is.
Sir, I actually again took the observer on the ground,
Hmm.
and then I resolved the velocity with respect to the observer.
So essentially, you resolved the velocity vectors as so
Yeah,
you one realizes that this is 30 degrees again because this is 30 degrees. So this has to be 30 degrees. So this angle is 60 degrees. So
yes, sir.
this is 90 in total. So velocity is initial velocity is given to be 10 root 3. So you have u is equal to 10 square root 3. So you have u cos 60 and you have u sine the 60 at this point, and since it's hitting exactly perpendicular, so you can resolve the final velocities. Let's call this final velocity some v. So now let's think about the angles. If this is 60 degrees, then how much should this angle be? Any idea? This is
What is that?
90. Huh?
सर वो एक बार वापस दिखाना कौन सा एंगल आपने किया.
Okay, so let's draw this further. This might help you. This is 90 degrees. Now,
30 degree.
which angle? This angle or this angle?
सर वो समझ नहीं आ रहा where's the pointer.
Okay, let me redraw this. So what you have, it's striking at this point. Let's call this point Q. It's striking with the velocity, which is perpendicular to this direction, right? This is 90 degrees. So this is forms a triangle like this. Now what you need to find out, see if this is 60 degrees, then this angle is 60 degrees, right?
Yes, sir.
True?
Yes, sir.
Nice. So what about this angle?
30.
This has to be 30 degrees. Lovely. So this is V, final velocity. So you have V cos 30 acting in this direction, and you have v sine 30 acting in this direction downwards. 30 degrees. Lovely. Now the at least the angles are clear. So now how do you calculate time of flight?
We have a formula to use sine theta by g.
Why do you remember formulas, man? See the problem in front of you, no?
नहीं सर
See, you're
practice
given the initial velocity in the x-axis. See what is happening along the x-axis. It's really simple, right? Because there's no acceleration in along the x-axis.
yeah.
So the speed starting में थी, वो end में भी होनी चाहिए. So your u, so 10 root 3 cos 60 should just be equal to v cos 30. So now you can calculate v from here, right? Huh? Why are they equal? Because there's no acceleration along the x-axis, no? So how will it accelerate? How will the velocity change? You need to have some acceleration in order, or some force. I mean, same thing. You need to have some force in order for the thing to change its speed. No? So that's why these two need to be equal. So let me just remove upar ka sara, and then we can go ahead and think about the problem in more detail. But from, I think after this, you should be able to calculate everything from here. Again, starting with what is given, x-axis, y-axis. What's happening on the x-axis? Well, the object has an initial velocity, which is ux, given to be, sorry, ux is given to be u cos 60, which is essentially 10 root 3 cos 60. Cos 60 is sine 30, right? So it's just 5 root 3, because cos 60 is just 1 by 2 meters per second, or whatever units you have here. You have ux. So this is the initial case. So this is initially this is happening, and what is happening finally in the final case, your Vx is given to be V cos 30. Cos 30 is sine 60, so it's V root 3 over 2, roughly. So essentially from here you can find out V, because your Ux should be equal to Vx, because no acceleration. So you have 5 root 3 should be equal to v root 3 over 2. So this implies v is just 10 meters per second. Okay, so that's just about the x-axis. What about the y-axis? Well, initially you have a speed of uy to be given as u sine 60. Sine 60 is root 3 over 2. So you have 10 root 3 into root 3 over 2, which gives you a 3 multiplied by a 5, which is 15, 3 meters, 15 meters per second. And finally, what do you have? You have Vy to be equal to V sine 30. Okay. Now, any ideas about time of flight? How do you go ahead and calculate time of flight?
Using the y component.
1.5 seconds.
1.57. That's a really complicated number. I don't think.
1.5.
1.5. No.
V equals u plus 80.
Yes, absolutely. Let me just remove this diagram. I hope is in everybody's head. So don't think we really need to refer to the diagram again. Oh, I might. Oh, bloody hell. Okay, go back. Okay, so y-axis, so using the x-axis, we just calculated the final velocity. So vy, you already know it's given to be 10. So sine 30 is just half, v is 10, so this is just 5. You have 5 meters per second given your vy to be. So u is v is equal to u plus 80. So now this will reach a maximum and then it will come back down. So let's just see how long will it take to reach the maximum. Well, at the maximum height, your speed is going to be 0. So you have v. So we are just going to use v is equal to u plus 80. V is 0. U is given to be 15. G is minus, let's just use G as 10, and you have T here. So the time it takes to reach the top is what? 15 over 10. So that's 1.5 seconds. That is the time it takes to reach the top. But then you're coming back down also, right? When you're coming back down, your final velocity is given to be 5. Your initial velocity will be 0 because now you're starting the motion from 0 again, and you have acceleration in the same direction as the motion. So you have a plus g 10 times t. So this is just 0.5 seconds is equal to t. The total time will be just the sum of these two. Let's call this t1, let's call this t2. So the total time t is just t1 plus t2. That's nothing but 2 seconds. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Lovely. What about the next thing? Final velocity. Final velocity we calculated. Lovely. It's 10 meters per second. What about the vertical height? H.
We'll use that formula, s equals ut plus half ad square.
Is equal to u plus half ad square. Okay. But how are you calculating h using that formula?
Okay, no. We'll use v square minus u square equals 2as.
Nice.
We
So
have v
you
equals 0 and u to hai.
have something like this. And you're shooting from here and it's going and it's hitting here. Need to calculate this side. Okay.
So
Yes.
while calculating this velocity, why did we do it in two stages?
I didn't quite catch what you said there.
Asking that while calculating the velocity, why did we do it in two stages? Why didn't we just put the final velocity equal to the actual final velocity?
We can also do that. That's absolutely fine. Both work. It's absolutely fine. Anywho, so you need to calculate what this height is. How do you calculate this height? Well, it's a geometrical construction, if you think about it. If you can figure out how much distance this is, that is essentially how much distance this guy is traveling. You know what speed it's ending. You know what speed it's starting. If you know this distance, then well, it's a right angle triangle. You can find the center point, and then you can just calculate h using the fact that this is just 30 degrees. So go ahead and do this and tell me um, if you're facing any problem in solving this. Okay, so vertical height Did somebody finish the calculation?
Just 1 minute, sir.
Okay.
Sir, 11.25.
11.25. No.
So 5 meters.
5 meters, lovely. How?
Yeah, वो जो figure था sir. So I just use this congruent triangle properties.
Lovely. Lovely, lovely,
वहाँ पे
lovely.
मिल गया मेरे
So,
को.
so what triangles are you talking about?
Sir, अब आपने erase कर दिया. I mean that triangle. How do I explain now?
You can annotate.
Fine.
Hmm.
And this one is 30 degree.
Hmm.
So this one becomes 60.
Hmm.
Now, even though I use that congruent triangle properties, from
Hmm.
where I got this equals this,
Hmm.
and then we have this
The base is same.
yeah, we have this thing हॉरिजॉन्टल वेलोसिटी, तो उससे मैंने रेंज कैलकुलेट कर ली और फिर ये उसका हाफ है, देन उससे मिल गया सर.
Lovely, 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 lovely. Okay, so the triangles, huh, that is why they wanted to remove. Okay, so let's see here only. So you have this triangle here, and you have the maximum height that this will reach. So this is the second triangle. Now these two triangles have the same base. This is going to be 90 degrees. This is going to be 30 degrees. This is going to be 60 degrees. This is going to be 30 degrees as well, right? Yes, no, maybe.
Yes sir.
Lovely. This is 30 degrees. This is 60 degrees. So these two are congruent triangles. And so how do you calculate the range? You have Vx, sorry, you have Ux given to be 5√3. Lovely. Um, how much time does it take to reach that point?
2 seconds.
2 seconds to reach here.
नहीं, total time of flight, total time.
Total time of flight is 2 seconds. So how
Yeah,
much time
तो
will it take?
उसका half, yeah, 1 second.
1 second. So t is 1 second. So essentially your distance is going to be speed is going to just depend on the speed. So it's going to be 5 root 3. Yes. So this is essentially this length that it travels. So you've calculated this length, then you just need to calculate the height. So this is you given the
Tan theta.
angle. So your tan, this is 30 degrees. So your tan 30 should be equal to the height h divided by the distance d. Yes. So tan 30 is given to be 1 by root 3 h by d. D is 5 root 3. The root 3 cancels out nicely, and h is just given to be 5 meters. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. What about the maximum height?
10 meters.
10 meters. Lovely. Let's just calculate the maximum height also.
Sir, maximum height from the ground ही बोल रहा होगा नहीं?
Sure. You can, yes. From the ground, yes. That is, which that would be 5 meters plus whatever you're getting. Okay. So maximum height, initial velocity is given to be the y-axis, given to be 15. So you can use s. How much time will it take to reach the top? Well, that will be 1 second. So you can use s is equal to ut.
Sir,
Yes.
why don't we directly multiply 5 by 2? 5 into 2, I'm 5 and 2.
Yes, you can do that. But just do this. Okay.
Okay, sir.
It's okay. T square 1 squared. So you have 15 minus 5. So you just have 10. You can do this also. So maximum height is 10 meters above 5 meters. So the total height from the ground will be 15 meters. What about the distance PQ? Well, that's the total time of flight is 2 seconds, and you're given the speed ux of as 5 root 3, so it's just 10 root 3 meters. Does that make sense?
सर
हाँ.
सर अभी आपने वो जो टाइम था वो 1.5 सेकंड नहीं निकाला था सर मतलब मैक्सिमम हाइट तक पहुंचने तक का टाइम तो सर यहाँ पे 1.5 पुट
Oh, yes, it was 1.5 seconds here, right? Yes. That was 1.5 seconds. You're right. It was, that was 1.5 seconds. You're absolutely right. Yes. Yes. You are absolutely right. Okay, so 15 to 15, it's 225. You have 22.5 here, minus 5 into 2.25. 5 into 2.25, you get a 5 here, 5, 10, 12, 5, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 2, 5. Point is equal to 22.5. So will be total 10.25 meters. So the total height would actually be nice. Yes, you're absolutely right. The total height will be 15.25 meters. Lovely. Make sense?
यस
सर ये ऐसा क्यों होगा मतलब
Maximum because it's not even, right? So if you see, it's not really symmetric though. Damn. Yes, it's not really symmetric, the diagram. It's 30 degrees and 60 degrees. So
yes, I got it.
We could just take the y component and solve it
yes, you can do that also. Absolutely, you can do that.
using third equation of motion.
Absolutely.
taking the final velocity 0.
Yes. Lovely. Okay, let's move on to the next question. I think. Okay. Before this question, I condone all kinds of harm to birds, but we can think about hurting birds, so that's fine. So what you do is a stone is projected from the point of a of a ground in such a direction, from a point in the ground. Uh, okay, from a point on the ground, so as to hit a bird on the top of a pole, the pole of height h. So there's a bird sitting at on the top of a pole at height h. You're, you're being you. You want to hit the bird with the stone because why not? So what essentially happens is that and then okay, yes, on the top of height edge and attain. Okay, so it's still moving. The rock that you've thrown and attain a maximum height of 2h. So you're given the maximum height that it's going to reach. This is above the ground. Now it makes sense. If at the instant of the projection, instant of the projection, the bird were to fly, the bird were to fly away horizontally. So the bird essentially sees you throw the thing and it starts to fly away. But not being a very, very smart bird, it's just flying horizontally with a uniform speed. It's not even changing its speed with a uniform speed. Stupid bird. Find the ratio between the horizontal velocities of the find the ratios of the horizontal velocities of the bird and the stone. Bird and the stone. If the stone still hits the bird while descending, the bird didn't escape, sadly. If the stone hits the bird while it is descending. So you see a bird, it's sitting on a pole of height edge. You throw a stone in that particular direction, and the bird sees you and starts flying away with a constant speed. And obviously, you miss the bird while it's going up, but while it's coming down, it actually hits the bird. So poor bird. So it's asking you what's the ratios of the
Sir,
horizontal speed. Yes.
the question just mentioned that the bird is going horizontal. I mean, it has a so
Yes.
horizontally जा रही है, तो how is it descending?
Wait, let me draw the diagram. I think that would make things clear. So you have the ground here. You have a pole of height. How much is the height given to be? H. You're standing here, and you throw in this direction. The bird was here, but at the point you're throwing, you're throwing the thing, and this bird starts moving in the opposite direction, but with a constant speed. Let's call that speed u. So this will go up, this will go up, and this will come down, right? And this bird will also keep on going in this direction. The point of the story is that the bird, the stone actually hits the bird while it's actually coming down. So that's
Okay,
it.
it is the stone which is descending. Okay.
Huh?
So it is the stone which is descending and not the bird. That is what I thought.
Yes, a bird though is at the constant height. Bird is at the height h on this. Okay, thoughts. Any thoughts on how to proceed? What about the rest of you? How are things? No reaction. Okay, so I hope you've written this down because I'm clearing everything. Let's start thinking about this problem a bit.
So we could calculate the distance
I'm sorry?
which they travel before they collide. The x component.
The distance they travel
We could
before.
calculate the x direction of the distance.
Actually, you're not really given. You
Before
don't
they
really need it
collide.
because you're given the height of the pole, right? You don't really need it.
Sir,
Yes.
the time this bird and the stone is colliding is the same. So
Yes.
both of
What is the problem? Okay, let's break this problem down.
sir, is it not u cos theta t equals vt?
U cos theta t is equal to
Vt. V is the velocity of the bird.
u cos theta is v, no? That is the truth. No doubt about that. That doesn't
No,
take.
sir, I'm saying u cos theta t, that is the horizontal velocity of that stone times t equals velocity of the bird times t.
Yes, that is
Because
absolutely.
I'm getting 1:1.
Yeah, at that point, yeah, sure. From at this point, from this point, yes, that is, will absolutely be true. But from the starting point, that is the question, right? Wait, what was the question even asked? Find the ratios of the horizontal velocities of the bird and the stone. Horizontal initial velocity is होना चाहिए ये, but okay. Yeah, horizontal velocity. Nope. Bad access. So essentially, you're throwing it in this direction, such that it's going like this. Let's think it's going like this. The bird starts from here and it reaches here and it hits the stone at this point. This height is given as h. The angle with which you're throwing is not given. Let's consider this angle to be some theta. Actually, I prefer alpha. Let's consider this some alpha. Let the initial velocity be u, at which it's launched. And okay, so the maximum height you're given, it's 2 times h. So that's nice. We know that this is at a half of the total length. So again, let's break down the motion, the two motions. You have the x-axis and you have the y-axis. What is happening in the x-axis? Well, you have first of all you have the stone. So let's talk about the stone, and the stone has a velocity of ux to be given as u cos alpha, and you have the bird, obviously. There's no acceleration along the x-axis because obviously there's none. You have the bird which starts moving at the same point at the same time, but it's moving. So let's call this ux. So let's call this ux of the stone. Let's call it ux of the bird. This is some u. Let's just take this to be some. Yeah, let's call this cub because it's the horizontal, like the ratio that we need to calculate. This is one of the variables that we need, and this is essentially this is the ratio that we need to calculate, the ratio of this quantity and the ratio of this quantity, or this quantity is the same quantity. Now, what is happening along the y-axis? A lot of interesting things are happening along the y-axis. So, well, you have the stone first, because that's the only place where interesting things are happening. Here, your initial speed along the y-axis for the stone is given to be u sine alpha. You have u cos alpha here, and you have u sine alpha here. And okay, the maximum height it reaches. So maximum height is given to be 2h. Okay, so from here you can calculate how much time it takes to reach the top. What do you need to calculate? You need to calculate the ratios of the velocity such that they collide. They collide means the time that the bird is taking to reach this point should be equal to the time that the stone is taking from the start to this point, right? Yes, that is absolutely what it means. So time taken is equal. That is what we need to realize. If something is colliding and if they're launching at the same time, we know that the time required should be exactly the same. Okay, how do we use that information? Well, okay, it's going to be at the same height, so it's like you're starting. There are two different projectiles. One projectile is from here to here at height h, and the other projectile is starting at this point and then it's meeting at here, the other thing here. Okay. Okay, so you're given the maximum height to be this.
सर मेरा एक डाउट प्लीज क्लियर कर दो.
Yes, please go ahead.
सर वो u cos theta times t equals v times t, right?
U cos alpha times t is equal to.
V times t, and where v is the velocity of the bird.
So you're saying the time, the distance it travels. Yes.
सर तो यहाँ से हमें
No,
ratios तो
no, no, no. The distance are not equal. No, no, no. This in time t, this distance is essentially traveling this much, and this distance is this much, right? Sorry, from here to here and from here to here. That's not equal. These two are not equal. Make sense?
so why they're not equal?
Because this distance u cos alpha times t, if t is the time of the total thing, then it's starting from this point and it's ending at this point, so the total distance is this much. But the bird is starting from this point and it's ending at this point, so the total distance is this much, so they're obviously not equal to each other. Make sense? You need to add this much distance in order for them to be equal, if you want them to be equal. You can use that strategy as well. That makes sense. Okay, so what's happening at the maximum point? Your final velocity is 0. So you have v is equal to u plus at. So 0 is equal to u sine alpha times minus g times t. Okay, so you have this is the amount of time it takes. Okay, sure. G over u sine alpha. This does make no ulta. Or you can use the other equation also. You have v square minus u square is equal to 2as. So final velocity is 0 minus u square. You have u square sine square alpha is equal to minus 2g. H is 2 times h. Lovely. So what do you have? These two cancel out and you have u square sine square alpha is equal to 4 times gh. This implies u sine alpha is equal to 2 square root gh. Okay, so you have one equation here that sounds promising. Here you had to add time, so it becomes weird. But here you do not. So that's nice. You have one equation here. And you need to find out time. Oh yeah, the second equation is come, obviously will come from here, right? That it is reaching at height h at this moment. So v square minus what is the speed? Speed on the y-axis has to be equal to the speed here because energy conservation. Okay. So you have h. So for this motion, you have h is equal to u sine theta times whatever time it takes to reach this point. So traveling from here to here, minus half g. So that's 5 because it's let's use use g over 2 times t squared. Okay. This is the time it takes to reach here. Sine theta means sine alpha here. Okay, so if you sine alpha, you already know is this much. So this is also h. Huh, lovely. Okay, makes sense. Let's just put it here. This all makes sense. So let's just put this value inside here. What do you get? You get h is equal to 2g h square root minus g t squared. You have h minus 2 square root gh over g, and the square root of that is essentially the time you've taken to reach this point, and the remaining time you essentially calculate by because the two times are essentially equal. So both of them are traveling equal distances essentially. So you can calculate from the x-axis. Let's think about that now.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, you missed the t with 2 under root gh.
Yes, I thought I did. Nice. So this is from you have a t here as well. Yes. So let's simplify this. You have gt square minus 2 square root gh times t plus h is equal to 0. Solving this, this is a quadratic equation. So t is just minus b. So minus b is 2 square root gh plus minus square root of b square. So you have 4gh minus 4ac minus 4 into a is g and c is just h divided by twice of a. So you have 2g here. So these two essentially cancel out. Oh, that's nice. So you have the 2's also cancel out. That's lovely. So you have square root of h over g. This is the time it takes. That's a nice answer. Time it takes to essentially reach this point. Okay, lovely. Hey, यहाँ तक everybody understood? Clear? Let's move on to the next part. Analyzing the remaining of the journey. So the remaining of the journey, how much time is left? Well, the time, okay. So this guy is traveling at this speed. You have UB, and it's traveling this distance here. Let's call this distance L. So UB is just distance upon time upon t, and this guy the horizontal ux, so u cos alpha. So you have u cos alpha, and it's traveling this much, so it's traveling distance from here to here, right? So this is the time u cos alpha. Yes, yes, yes. Can calculate the distance. Resistance here. Okay, so we can use that method now. That's nice. Okay, so this means that length is just ub times t, and this is L. So how much distance is this distance? This distance is, well, there's a distance that this projectile travels in this much amount of time, square root of h over g amount of time. So you have velocity ux. So this distance, let's call it x. So x will be the speed multiplied by the time it takes, which is square root of h over g. Yes, so this is the distance that it's traveling, and the remaining distance it's traveling in time t. This is the total time t. Okay, I need to think about this problem. This problem is slightly more complicated than I thought. Okay, let's start with this problem in the next class, and we'll do it step by step because this is slightly more tricky. It's an Olympiad problem, no doubt. It's weird, but try to solve this. Let's see what the final answers are. Okay, let's stop here then.